Hi, I'm Steph from Different Flowers and Gifts, and today I'm going to tell you how you can make your fresh flowers last forever by making them dried. So for example, maybe we want to dry this bouquet here. So not all flowers can be dried. Some don't dry super well. Some examples of those are gerberas and sunflowers. They often tend to lose their outer petals regardless of how they're dried. So often a lot of people just pluck out those outer petals and you're left with the little centers, which do look quite pretty dried as well. But you kind of just need to experiment with what kind of works and what kind of doesn't. But for most things you can get to look reasonably nice still. So the first thing you want to do when you decide you want to dry arrangement or bouquet is a lot easier than arrangements, because simply with a bouquet all you need to do is remove the outer wrappings. So the reason why we want to remove this outer wrappings is because these wrappings can sometimes hold a lot more moisture, and the key to drying flowers really well is to allow lots of airflow to get in and amongst the foliages and the flowers, and in that way mold and any excess moisture doesn't build up, causing lots of botrytis, which is a form of mold, which then can deteriorate your flowers and you actually won't get a very nice dry, or you'll end up having to throw out the whole thing. So what you want to do is try to remove any excess foliage, remove any flowers that are already too far gone, like you'll notice on roses they're too far gone if there's like a really nice dark brown patch at the bottom and the petals kind of like start falling away. That's probably too far gone and you'll probably have to throw them. You could probably salvage some of the petals and dry them as cute little rose petals, but anything that's already got a little bit of mold set in, you might want to just throw them away, because that could contaminate the rest of your arrangement and you might end up having to throw it out. So it's just better to save yourself a bit of heartache by throwing them out initially. So you can break down the bouquet into smaller segments. If you want to dry only certain things, obviously pull them out. Remove any excess foliage to reduce the moisture content, again to reduce the mold. So it doesn't build up, and pretty much you just want to make sure it's all nicely bound tight with either some. I prefer elastic band. A lot of you people use a natural cord or like raffia. I prefer rubber bands and I reuse them. This tends to be because as flowers dry, they often reduce in size and their stems will shrink down. Same with their heads, they shrink down. And as that happens, when we hang them upside down, which is how we dry flowers generally, but it's called air drying, the stems can actually fall out of their tie, and they can fall on the ground and get damaged. So I find that the stretchiness of the elastic band sometimes helps prevent that. So we're now up above our work area, and this is where I like to dry some of our plants and foliages, mainly because it's nice and cool and airy in this space. This curtain creates quite a bit of shade. So you don't want to hang your plant material anywhere which receives a lot of light or a lot of heat. You want it to be nice and cool, shady, airy kind of place, because sun can actually bleach your flowers, and obviously heat can obviously affect it and change it in different ways, where you just want to kind of a nice gradual drying process that hasn't got too much humidity. So that can be that leads back to that mold issue, that you want somewhere that's nice and dry. So that's a main factor there on picking a spot to dry your flowers. So the next thing I like to do is you can either hang up your arrangement using a piece of string, or what I like to do is I used to get a nice piece of wire. The thickness will depend on how large your bouquet or a bundle of flowers is and how heavy it is. But I just use pretty much, I think this is like a 22 gauge wire, And I create like my own little S-hook, which you can buy S-hooks from places like Bunnings and hand hardware stores. And what I just do with this piece of wire is I just create a little S-hook out of it. So I've got 2 pieces here to make it extra thick so that it's not going to fall down. So I just create kind of like a little S-hook there. And then I get my little bouquet. And I'm going to put this one. And I thread my hook, one of the ends of the hooks, underneath the rubber bands. And then I'm just going to hang it up to dry, like so. So you can see I've actually already dried out a few doing this air drying technique, so these are all nice and crispy. They're really pretty. Set some roses and some little everlasting daisies. These are really cute to do. And then I have got some that are still in the process of drying. As you can see, they're starting to change color and get really soft and floppy. So as they dry, they'll get really soft and floppy first. They will lose a fair bit of their color, but a lot of different flowers will actually retain them, like those everlasting daisies here, which is still quite orange and slash red. So a lot of flowers will retain a fair bit of their colors. Wherever you decide to dry your flowers, be mindful that during the drying process, plant matter and color pigment can stain anything they come into contact with. Thus, ensure you protect any precious fabrics or surfaces either with a sheet of paper or old cloth. Before you know it, you'll have a bundle of beautiful dried flowers that you can decorate your home with for months or even years to come. So why not give it a try today? If you have any questions about the process or would love to know more, please let us know in the comments and we'll try our best to answer all your questions.